at it's protected if something was to happen. So I am going to ask Miss Caren Cooper to come start us off and share whatever is on her heart right now. Caren, the mic is yours.
First of all, I just want to say thank you for having me. Okay, can you hear me on Clubhouse as well?
Yes.
Hi, everyone. Okay, so first of all, I just want to say thank you for having me. I'm really, really excited to be here tonight. And what I want to start off with is, how do you, like, what does your ideal day look like? And you don't have to answer it, but like, think about what your ideal day looks like. And have you ever been recently saying to yourself, oh, I'm so tired? Or going to the mailbox and being like, oh, I just pray that bill isn't here, or having that anxiety, stress feelings around. I mean, I'm sure we all have, let's be honest, these last few years going on, but just that exhausted feeling, and just, you're just like, I don't know why I feel this way, but I feel ick, and whatever. Maybe not all day, every day, but there are times during the day where you're tired and you don't know why, or something like that. That's how I was. So I'll just start by telling my story, because you're like, okay, who is Caren Cooper? Why is she allowed to say anything? Maybe not. But I used to be the type of person, I was literally exhausted all the time. I couldn't keep up with my life. My kids would be like, Mom, play with me. And I'd be like, Mom has to rest, or I take a nap, or, I was just miserable. I hated the way I looked in pictures. I literally couldn't take my life anymore. And I had watched people I know get healthy and transform. And I was like, no, no, no. I was a total skeptic. I totally thought they drank some Kool-Aid and joined some cult. Absolutely 1,000%. And until I got to that point in my life where I couldn't take it anymore. And I was like, you know what? I decided, and the key word there was decided, that I needed to make a change. And that's what it was. I was like, you know what? I need to do something. What I didn't understand at the time was, yes, it was important what I was putting into my body, but it was also important who I was surrounding myself with and what I was feeding my mind with. So a lot of times people talk about, so that's my journey. So 6 years ago, I started my health journey. And what ended up happening was that I lost 20 pounds, but I was very much a victim mindset also. Like, I totally thought everything was happening to me. I was like, oh, all of that person. And with the fact that I started putting more healthy foods into my body, but I also started to embrace the idea of personal development. And because I started to embrace that idea of personal development, I guess you could say I drank the Kool-Aid and joined the cult, if you will. I understood, my mindset started to shift as well. So I'm my mission also is not just to be like, okay, you should be eating healthy foods, about balance also, because I'll be honest with you, like, I love my cake, but Carvel ice cream all the time. So I'm not that type of person who's like, you have to eat healthy all the time and deprive yourself, because that doesn't work. But the thing is, when you are not, and it's really not also about the number on the scale. I want to also point that out. So when I'm talking about health, I'm talking about physical health. Is weight loss part of it? Yes. For me personally, that was my journey. I did start to lose weight, but it also is really about having easy, convenient, healthy nutrition. Also, it's just really about what you're feeding your body and feeling good in that body. Because what I found for myself, and I know for others, when you start to feel good in your body, you can do things you couldn't necessarily, you couldn't have done before. Maybe you couldn't have done them because your mindset was different. Maybe you couldn't have done them because you literally physically couldn't do them. So being healthy, what you're putting into your mouth, allows you to feel good. And it's not, oh my God, I ate this, is, oh my God, I can't believe I ate this, oh my God, what am I going to do? It's not about that. That's where the mindset shift comes in, and the mindset piece comes in. So because I know we're talking about wealth, but if you're not feeling good, and part of the thing too is the money you spend. When I talk to people also, it's about, talking about creating wealth. It's like we spend money on, and by the way, guilty as charged, on very interesting things. I have a kid. I have a son and a daughter. They're 20 and 16 now, but when they were younger, they played softball and baseball. So my nights were spent on a baseball field. So I was either eating concession stand food, or they played at Mid-Island Little League. So I was eating at the Wendy's that was over there by Showplace Bowling. So, but I felt horrible, but my money was being spent on concession stand food. My money was being spent on Wendy's. My money was being spent elsewhere. So that's how it also ties into wealth also, because you're spending money on things that aren't making you feel good, maybe in the moment, but then your body's just like, whoa, what's up? And you just can't keep up with anything. So really it's about, okay, what works for you? You know what I mean? I do a specific program, but you have to do what works for you and say to yourself, okay, now I feel good. And now you're spending money. A lot of times when you decide to become healthy, it seems expensive looking at the prices, but in the end, it turns out really, because you're not going to the doctors as much. I'm not claiming to cure anything, but if you really think about it, when you feel good, your monies are spent elsewhere. Okay. And health comes in many different forms. Who do you surround yourself with? How do you feel when you're with certain people? Think about that. That's also a really good gauge. So if you're with somebody and you're tense and stressed out, they make you tense and stressed out. Take note of that. Because I was like, oh my God, you're the sum of the 5 people you hang out with. I totally thought that was weird. I'm not going to lie about it, but now I understand that. So when I'm with people that don't make me feel good for whatever reason, sometimes you feel that in your body, and your body is stressed out. Think about what's going on these last few years. There's so many of us who have anxiety and stress and whatever, and that just lends to being tired and being exhausted and being cranky and being angry and all the things. And we're not feeling well. We are literally not feeling well. I called up for a therapist the other day, and they told me there was a shortage, legitimately told me there was a shortage. Okay. So people are feeling the effects of everything going on and looking for outside sources, which is awesome and wonderful. And that's how I don't want to say that's how it should be, but helping themselves feel better. Because when you feel good, it's beyond imagination what you can do. I know I was doing rugged maniacs. I would have never thought I would have doing a rugged maniac. I was not a person who was going to climb things and run in mud. So just to give you the example, when you feel good, you're like, oh my God. And then you think about Shauna, I think it was you who mentioned about leaving a legacy. What kind of legacy do you want to leave? What kind of example do you want to set? Maybe you want to set an example for yourself. Maybe it's really about you. Maybe it's not about other people, because that's the other thing. You really should get healthy because you want to get healthy, because that's how it's going to stick. So I'm 6 years into my health journey, and am I perfect every day? No. And by the way, what is perfect anyway? But I will tell you this, I have my Carvel ice cream and I enjoy it, but I have the tools to say, you know what, it's another day. Or I have to say, you know what, a group of us is starting another challenge for Memorial Day. Get people together to do it with you. That's also the fun of it. Get accountability partners. Get people like, oh my God, let's do this together. Because how many times when you do things with other people, is it like fun and it's just you're holding each other accountable and it's just magical, and then magic happens. So really, it's also about, okay, I screwed up. I didn't screw up. That's like a word. Oh my God, diet. Diet has the word diet in it. I can't stand the word diet. It's not, oh my God, I'm going to start Monday. I'm going to start this day. I'm going to start this day. It's no, you know what? This is what happened. Tomorrow is a new day. I have the tools. And then when you have somebody who's accountable with you, you can call them up and be like, oh my God, this is what I did. And I feel like this. And you have somebody who can help you, talk you off the ledge and things like that. That's important also. And really, it's about giving yourself grace also. It really is, because it's not about, oh my God, looking in the mirror and I look this way, I look that way, I look the other way. Give yourself grace and be like, you know what, I'm doing the best that I can. I really am. I'm doing the best that I can. And the other thing is also the scale. We don't like the scale. I can't stand the scale, because the scale is a number. But also think about how you talk to yourself. What do you say to yourself? When talking about wealth, and I know and Vivian talk about the business, what do you say? Like, so the relationship with money, it's the same thing about the relationship with yourself. How do you talk to yourself? What do you say to yourself? Do you say I'm stupid? Or do you pass the mirror and say I'm a juicy snack? Because that's what I do. You are a juicy snack. All of us are, right? You just look at the mirror. I'm a juicy snack. It sounds a lot better than, oh my God, I look fat. No. You know what I mean? So it's really all encompassing. And that's what my mission is, because I 1,000% was like, you know what, if I eat healthy, if I just eat the right foods, it's fine. but it's not all about just eating the right foods. And is it the right foods, healthier versions of things. And by the way, I also thought healthy was boring. Like I didn't understand like something like almond cheese existed, just as an example, FYI, or like I had no idea. Like you can make so many healthier versions of things. And I found that fascinating. I didn't think that was like a thing. But it turns out that the key for me, the Magic Kingdom key, was, oh my God, wait, I'm feeding myself all these amazing nutrients and I feel amazing. But then the mindset shift happened, and then I'm a part of this amazing community, and they lift me up, and they're being honest with me and all these things. And then, oh my God, wait a minute, I speak to myself a lot nicer now. And then I'm like, I feel like I'm 4'11", and I feel like 6 feet tall. I feel very tall. You know what I mean? And I feel good, and because I feel good, then and it's not even my body feels good, and I can run around. Now my son is 16 and my daughter is 20, but he plays high school games, and I could run around like just plan my days and still have energy all day long. And so think about that. Do you have energy all day long? Are you exhausted? Like 3 o'clock, you like that 3 o'clock slump, things like that. All of those things and play a part in your life, and you're just too tired to do anything. And then it's like up away. You don't really care when you're not feeling well. You don't care about a lot of things. I know for me, I didn't. I was like whatever, and I was just like cranky, and I never thought about anything beyond the moment. So I love the fact that we're having the conversation of leaving a legacy. What is your relationships with things? Because honestly, all of it plays a part. Like part of what I do, yes, you can earn money from it. But I feel like, oh my God, like how cool is it that we get to help people leave a legacy, help people learn something that maybe they didn't know. Because when Jenny and I were talking, when Lady G and I were talking, there was so many things that she was telling me. I was completely schooled on a lot of things, and it was amazing. There was a lot of things I didn't know. And I think that's a lot of it too. We think we know things, or we hear a lot of things from other people, but the reality is you need to hear it from people who are actually doing it and in the know, because there's so many loopholes and so many things that play a part in it. So for example, for the health and wellness, it was the food, the who do you surround yourself with, the personal development, and what are you saying to yourself? Think about that. And I'll give you homework. Those are your homework. No, I'm kidding. But you know what I mean? Think about that. That's all encompassing. And that to me is really what health is really all about. And that's my mission, is to share this information, like you were saying earlier, Lady J, about the mission is to educate and to serve and to be there for people and share this information with them. And they can then do with it as they please, of course. But it's really to get that word out, because you don't know who needs to hear this and when they need to hear it. And eventually lives will be changed because of it, and they'll be able to leave legacies for the families in the end run. So that's all I have to say, I think, for now.
Wow, thank you, Caren. Does anybody have any questions on what Caren said thus far? I want to say that so much what Caren said was correct and hit me home. Not that it was correct, but that it hit me, because today I was so tired, and I connected the dots that it was because yesterday I went out, I took one of my business partners out, and she wanted to stop at a place where we can order a burger. And that's what I had, a nice, juicy burger. But with that said, I felt terrible today. Like I was groggy, I had no energy, and it was a full day. So it was like I was just dragging along. So what you put in your body really, really does matter. I'm not going to say I suffer from. Okay, I have vitamin D deficiency because I was always tired. And I asked the doctor, why am I always tired? I cannot go through my day feeling like this. So it was my vitamin D levels, because in my office, in my house, wherever I am, I like to live in the dark. No one knows when I'm home because it is completely dark. I'm not one to go out and take a walk in the sunshine. And that is why I think that it has led to my vitamin D levels being low. But with that said, my vitamin D levels being low, it's made me wise to some things. Okay. So I think when we know what the problem is, we should definitely do everything in our power to fix it. She also was talking about the health, and it's in this industry that I'm in. It really takes a toll on me when I have to call a client because of their health and tell them they can't create wealth. I had a 16-year-old that I can't get him his parents can't create wealth for him, and not in the vehicle that I was suggesting to begin with, because his health is already bad. Imagine a 16-year-old with high blood pressure already. That, and the weight was something I couldn't fix. And I think that if we have more of these talks, that we would do better. I can't say, one thing I will say, and I was raised by my grandparents, and I will tell you, they had a home cooked meal on the table every night. But I was surrounded by others that when you asked them what was for dinner, they was going to have Kentucky Fried Chicken, Popeyes, Burger King, McDonald's. When I was a kid, to go to McDonald's, that was a treat. We was not they was not, they were like, there's food at home. We ain't wasting this money. Today, I hope they would be saying that that money that we would spend on McDonald's is going into your wealth account, because you're going to need it that more in the future than that McDonald's that is going to go straight to your hips now. My great grandmother said something to me. She said, you keep, because once I hit teens, the mouth started to want to eat a whole lot more. And she said, you ain't going to be 98 pounds forever. When you hit those teens, it starts sticking to your hips a lot faster, and it's harder to come off. And what, she ain't tell a lie. She ain't tell a lie. I put a throwback picture up last week. My child laughed at me and said, who's that? I was 98 pounds. Okay. But we do have to do better when it comes to our health. So without further ado, I do want to go into the business perspective. And we do have Vivian on the stage, and she has two businesses that she runs. She's a notary. She has a nail and body, what is it? Body sculpting.
Body sculpting.
When I get to Florida, I'm going to experience that for the first time.
You already know it. I'm waiting for you. I can't wait.
I want Vivian to come and talk about, first of all, Vivian, let me ask you, how does it feel to be a business owner? That's number one.
Okay. So first of all, thank you so much for having this space and for inviting me to speak tonight. Sometimes when you want to become an owner, you want to start a business, something that I learned also is because we're trying to live our life by design. We're trying to design the way we want to live. We're trying to accomplish things that maybe we didn't have growing up. So when I thought of being an owner, which I didn't really think of me becoming an owner, believe it or not, it was really me having that design of life that I wanted to create, that I was thirsty for. And, by default, the government's plan is for us to be living a default life. And push came to shove, and a lot of people who know me personally know that I have a child with disability needs. However they want to label him, they label him as autistic. But if I would have known the information that I know now, even becoming a businesswoman, I would have done things a lot more differently. And now I know why, by the grace of God, I was never blessed with lump sums of money, because this was things that I needed to learn first. Okay, there's so many people walking this earth that are millionaires, multi-billionaires, trillionaires. They just got the bag. Okay. But if you're living that life, why are you still living that default life? They are still wondering how people are going to bury them. Tomorrow, from the blink of an eye, you don't know what's going to happen. A sickness may take you down under, or an accident. Accidents happen all the time. You know, we can try to plan our day as much as we can. As a businesswoman, we try to plan as much as we know, but there's side curves that get hit to us. And if you're not, like what Miss Caren was saying, if you're not taking care of yourself and you're not mentally and physically ready to take on those challenges, then there's really no thought of even thinking about becoming a business person at all. So I wrote a few things, like a little bit of what I've been into, or people that I've known, because I've been in the beauty industry for a long time. And chronic health issues seems to be number one in the beauty industry. We tend to take care of being a service provider to others that we don't eat the way we're supposed to. We don't even take care of ourselves the way we're supposed to. So if we're not doing those two things, how do you really plan to take care of business the right way and to continue having others to take care of it after you're gone? Because you don't know when your eyes going to be closed. So a lot of moms that were working from home, I met a lot of friends that were unfortunately with children with disability needs. Now, I don't want to say it like that, because it's just where their lives had to change dramatically and they had no plan. That's really it was unfortunate, because they don't know how to plan for these things. We don't know what tomorrow's going to bring us. We could be fine. We could be planning for X, Y, and Z, and we're going to have to sit down and learn a few things before we continue. So that's what I was by forced needing to do. I had, high blood pressure wasn't even the word. And it was because of the lack of the sleep and the lack of the food that I was giving my body. So also seeing other nail techs and lash techs, other body sculpting specialists. This is just a few of the things that I've ran into, that I've done, or I've seen other people do. Teeth whitening, hyaluron pen techs, esthetician, cosmetologists, they're on their feet all the time. And they probably are working on their days off because of how passionate they do their job. Okay. Full specialists, they do it all. I mean, they're trying to fill in for somebody calling out because, you know, they got a business, but because they have a full specialist hanging on the wall, that means they can do it all. If one of them calls out, guess what? They're hands on as well. So models, even models, producers, singers, photographers, instructors, engineers. I mean, any business owner or entrepreneur, wellness advocate, coach, empire creator, whatever you want to call it, it all starts with having not only a business plan, but how can this business plan not die if I have to go? I knew a very, very intelligent man who had many trades. He loved to help a lot of people. He made a lot of money. He was probably a millionaire or more. He loved to give to his people, even if he barely took care of himself, even if he barely ate, even if he wasn't barely sleeping. It filled his heart to know that with the talents that he had and the work that he had in his hands, that he was able to bless others. So that man was my father. And I remember my father didn't know when he was going to be chronically ill with cancer. And he thought that it was going to last for a long time, but it didn't. He lasted about not even 8 months. And as he was trying to get things in order, he couldn't. He was already to the point where he was incompetent of even signing anything himself. He was so critically ill that he wasn't able to do anything else on his own anymore. So at that point, it was definitely too late for him to even make any adjustments. But with that being said, and as me being a business owner, there's no point of working so hard and waiting until it's too late, because it's too late. It's too late. Why are we? It's like like, you know how when you go to school and you're trained to do something, but there's so much other things that are missed out. These are things that cannot be missed out. These are things that time and time again, we keep hearing it from even multi-trillionaires. They're getting insurance. They're getting IULs. They're getting these type of things in play because they also know that tomorrow's not promised. But with being that comfortable, we have to be comfortable enough to go straight forward and learn these things. Nobody's going to do it for us. Nobody's going to take care of what we need to take care of it for us as much as we know how to take care of it. And, you know, people saw me from nails to body. And why are you doing this? Why aren't you learning this? This is what you need to protect your business. And I don't know about you, but if I'm working this hard, it ain't going to die when I die. Either my kids are going to be able to flip this and keep it going to do what they want to do, or they already have a job in play for them. So, you know, I don't want to keep this too long because I don't speak a lot. And when I do, I get all excited. You know, it's just, I've learned a lot, you know, and the first thing that I really wanted to do was, in order for me to continue taking care of my business and my people, I need to be covered, and I need others while they're getting polished to understand the importance of being covered. At least try. I'm even myself being an agent. I was nervous. I was like, wow, how do I fit this in with all the things that I have to take care of? But if I don't take care of that, how is everything else going to get taken care of? I'm not about to have my kids worry, or my mom, the only parent I have left, to worry about how they're going to bury me, or worry about all these things. You know, we're trying to live a debt-free life, but do you really know how much it costs if something happens to you by accident? It's not only the grief that you're leaving behind. Listen, I've seen families break up because of that one person that took everybody and took care of everybody. So don't work this hard and have people bickering and fighting over everything. Things do need to get put in play and put in the right position, so that way everything that you're here for to do, you're saying that you're obedient, you're saying I'm doing what I'm called to do. Well, don't forget the things that is also written and says for us to do. And if nobody's going to take care of it for us, then it's up to you to take care of it. So, like I said, I'm polished by Vivian. While you're getting polished, don't be upset if we're going to mix it in the twist and talk about insurance, because that's what I'm about. And I want to help you, if you want to start your business, to also get it protected and protect the ones that are working for you. And with that, I lay my plane. Thank you so much for tonight.
If I may just say something.
Yes, you can. Yes.
First of all, mic drop like everywhere. But besides which, I mean, first of all, that question that you just said, like, you see people break up and what do you leave? That was like, wow, that huge. But as you were talking, and I know what you're going to talk about too, I was thinking about this. First of all, going back to what you were talking about earlier about health, I used to eat SpaghettiOs right out of the can, just saying, and they were amazing. So I totally get, you know, we were not brought up in that vein. But at the same time, you were talking about it's not a pretty conversation to have. So all three of us are talking about things in ways to help everyone, but it may not be. It's a conversation like health. It's like, oh, you have to look within yourself to look to be healthy, to get insurance, to look to, to be well, to create wealth and things like that. And people don't necessarily want to have that conversation, but it's an important conversation to have, because like you were saying with your father, or just like when people go and they take everything with them, and then what? So it's important to know that even though it may not be a pretty conversation, it's an important one to have. So that's what I just wanted to add.
That was great. And you are absolutely, I agree with Caren. Vivian, that was really like knocking them over the head, saying, do you hear what I'm saying? Do you get it? Do you understand? And then there's people that just ain't gonna understand. I don't care. You can drag them to the faucet to drink. They are not going to drink. But you guys, with Caren touching on the health side, Vivian talking from the perspective of an entrepreneur and having her legacy protected to leave wealth for her children. And Vivian said something. She mentioned critical illness. Do you understand that critical and chronic illness is the number one cause for us becoming poor and filing for bankruptcy? Because we don't think ahead, and we're waiting to always think that the government is going to bail us out. And that is not always the case. If you've ever had to deal with the government, you basically have to give them blood before they give you anything. Imagine having an illness and you don't have strength to deal with the government. You don't have strength to keep running to the disability office to give them the paperwork that they need so that you can get a check to cover your mortgage and your rent because you have an illness and you can't go to your 9 to 5. Did you know that there is such accounts that you can create that if that happened, because life happens, that you can receive income on a weekly, monthly basis? You can tell them how much money to send you. You can tell them that, listen, I've been told I need to heal. I've been told that life just came knocking at my door with an illness. You can make one phone call to them and they will cut you a check and have it rolling in so you can have your mortgage and your rent paid. This is what we're talking about, creating wealth so that you have your own bank to fall back on and not those of the government. When you think about, and I just want you to just think about it, and none of us want to think about it, but if you was to come one day and have an illness that you can't go to your 9 to 5, how will you pay your rent? Do you think that if you, now we're not talking about, I said this earlier, we're not talking about stubbing your toe. We're not talking about you done broke a ankle and you on crutches, because you can limp to work. They gonna tell you, come on in. If you breathing, come on in. If you can walk up in here, come on in. We ain't talking about that. We're talking about you having an illness that can be years before you do a comeback. Do you really think that the money in your checking, your savings, even your CDs, your 401ks, your IRAs, your bonds, your 529 is going to get you through the years? Do you think that those type of accounts have taken into consideration inflation? I went and I looked up the report because I have been avoiding, and now it's up to 8.5%. Inflation is 8.5% now. Do you have enough money to cover inflation, let alone if you stopped your job and was no longer getting a paycheck? Do you have enough to keep you going? I'm talking about if you had a heart attack. I'm talking about, God forbid, a stroke, cancer, dialysis, ALS, major organ transplant, blindness, paralysis, Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, bypass, artery bypass, HIV, AIDS, or you can't do 2 of the 6 daily activities of the day, feeding yourself, clothing yourself, bathing yourself, to and from the bed, showering, feeding, all of that. If you can't do two of those things, all you have to do is pick up the phone and make a phone call and say, listen, life just knocked at my door. Give me my money, because you're your own bank. So they will cut you a check up to 90% of the death benefit of that terminal, critical, or chronic illness rider. If you don't ask for this to be in your wealth bucket, it's not going to happen. That is why if people don't add it, they wondering why they can't get nothing from a policy that they pay for while they're living. So if it's $1 million policy, you can have a check cut up to $1 million for terminal and up to $900,000 for critical and chronic. Whatever the policy is that you have, 90% of it can help fund your life when life knocks at your door. It is very important, I cannot say that enough, to have these types of things on with your name on it, because otherwise you're going to be left filing for bankruptcy. You're going to be left losing the house that you worked so hard for. You're going to be left wondering how you're going to put food on the table for your kids. You are going to be left wondering. And guys, in case you didn't know, stress kills. And I do believe that the graveyard is full of people that did not need to be there. It's not because the illness took them out. It's because the stress did. So if you plan ahead, you can go through those life challenges without stressing. How else can you create wealth? You can create a bank so that you don't have to worry about going for student loans for your child's education. You can create a bank and not worry about how they're going to pay for their first home. I wish somebody would have told me they had started an account for me and I could have got the cash straight out to put a down payment on my first home. I worked my tail off to get my first home. But we want to change the way it was when we were growing up. We want things, as a parent, you want things different for your children. You want them to not experience the heartaches that you felt growing up. So creating a bank that they can go when they say, Mom or Dad, I want my first car. You could say, baby, all right, go get cash right out the account. Instead of, if life happened and your credit is jacked up, paying that high 15, 20% interest rate for an auto loan for their car. When you create your own bank, it is not based on your credit. It has nothing to do with your credit. And the wealthy set these types of accounts up so that their children can go on, that their children can know what it is to have. When you start a bank for your child, I don't care what amount it is, but y'all know I love the number million. So if you set an account up for $1 million for your baby, you have already made them a millionaire. Do you know what a great feeling that would be for them when they grow up and are able to understand? And let me share this. While you making this bank for them, please pray that the Lord, or they would allow the Lord to make them wise, so that when they have access to those funds, that they would be wise on how they spend it. But if you have any doubts, then you can make some rules up. Put that thing in a trust. Have that bank on lockdown and say, listen, You can't touch this unless you get a college education. You can't touch this unless you get these types of grades. You can only get this much a year. This is how you begin to create wealth. When you're creating wealth, I promise you, take my word on it. You're not creating wealth in your checking account. You're not creating wealth in your savings account. They're barely giving you less than 1% interest rate on your savings account. It's simple interest. When you begin to want to create wealth, you put your money where it can multiply and multiply at a high rate, which means you need to be creating your bank in an avenue where there is compound interest, not simple interest. Simple interest, if they're giving you less than measly 1%, it is based on the principal. Compound interest is based, it could be all the way up 15, 20 something percent, but it's based on the principal and the interest from the prior years before. That is how compound interest works. That is how you grow your money. The same way when you get and use your credit card, you know who you creating wealth for? That credit card company, because they charging you compound interest. And if you go and charge that $50 item and you making the minimum payments on it, by the time you done, you probably paid $150 for that $50 item because of the compound interest component. So why not turn that thing around and create your own bank so that when you put money in an index universal life that gives you compound interest, that can double, triple your money instead of letting it sit in Citibank or Wells Fargo collecting dust. This is why the wealthy are smart and they know what they're doing. And if you want to be like the wealthy, you need to do what the wealthy do. I'm going to stop there. We're going to close down Zoom and we're going to go over to Clubhouse to continue the conversation. We were recording tonight on Zoom because we are going to have this uploaded to my YouTube channel and we're going to share it on the other platforms. So I wanted it to be an hour on Zoom and I met my quota. So I am very, very happy about that. But before I close out the Zoom, is there any questions on what has been said thus far? If there are no questions, we're going to go over to Clubhouse and I'm going to close the Zoom down and we're going to continue the conversation. You can see on my social media, I will alert when the Zoom has been uploaded to YouTube. And we have also now, we have a podcast. And that will be also added to the podcast. So we're going into every nook and cranny, but I will share the link so that you can share it with others. Come on, guys, and let's go over to Clubhouse. Thanks so much.